We're glad you could join us for Lunchtime Politics on Channels Television. First, the headlines. Cross River State Election Petition Tribunal set to deliver judgment in the petition of the People's Democratic Party against the victory of Governor Basio II of the All Progressives Congress. Lagos State PDP and Labour Party governorship candidate rejects Monday's tribunal declaration of Babajide Sanwo-Olu as winner of the election, saying the judgment does not reflect the provision of the Constitution and the Electoral Act of 2022. Thus, it's decision day for the leadership of the Nigeria Labour Congress as it convenes a virtual emergency meeting to decide on its proposed indefinite strike action. And now all is set for the Election Petition Tribunal in Calabar, the Cross River State capital, to deliver its ruling on the petition of the People's Democratic Party against the victory of Governor Basio II of the All Progressives Congress. That this morning the arrangements were being finalized so that the tribunal can release that judgment. The three-man panel is going to be sitting to look at and decide on the victory of the People's Democratic Party, as the case may be. And the Lagos State Election Petition Tribunal has upheld the victory of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu and throwing out the petitions of the People's Democratic Party and the Labour Party. The three-man panel, in its unanimous decision, dismissed the petitions filed by the PDP and the LP candidate. In the PDP's petition, the tribunal in its judgment read by Justice Mikhail Abdullahi on behalf of the three-man panel held that the petition of the People's Democratic Party and its governorship candidate Olajide Adeniran lacked merit, and the same was dismissed accordingly. Earlier, the tribunal addressed all the preliminary objections raised by the parties before considering the issues raised for determination. The second issue for the tribunal's determination was whether Sanwo-Olu and his deputy Obafemi Hamzat were validly nominated by their party, the All Progressives Congress, to contest the polls. The tribunal cited relevant provisions of the Constitution and the Electoral Act and a plethora of decided cases to the effect that this was a pre-election issue that did not relate to the conduct of the polls being challenged. After a 10-minute break, the tribunal reconvened to consider the petition filed by the Labour Party and its candidate, Badebo Rhodes Viva. The tribunal chairman, Justice Arum Asham, in his lead judgment, dismissed the petition filed by of this year's Idul Maulud celebration. The Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, made the declaration in Abuja through a statement by the Permanent Secretary, while congratulating all Muslim faithful, both home and in the diaspora, for witnessing this year's occasion. He urged Nigerians, especially the youth, to embrace the virtues of hard work and peaceful disposition to fellow humans, irrespective of faith, ideology, social class, or ethnicity. Mr. Tunji-Ojo says asked Nigerians to join hands with President Bola Tinubu administration in the effort to build a progressive and enviable nation that all citizens will be proud of. As the nation prepares to mark its 63rd independence anniversary, the federal government has restated its resolve to make the celebration low-key. According to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. George Akume, this is because of the difficult economic realities. He stated this during a press conference to kick off activities marking the week-long celebration.
The government also has its own responsibility to ensure that the national interest is not undermined. The integrity of the national interest remains paramount. We are doing this celebration conscious of the fact that we are 63 years, but also, more importantly, conscious of the fact that economic times are hard. And I clearly stated this in my statement, which I read a few moments ago. We want to assure you that while we have these challenges today, certainly tomorrow things will turn around. And that is when celebrations we assume the usual tone. This celebration, as I said, is low-key, so we have not invited world leaders. Time will come, as I did explain, to invite all the world leaders who are to Nigeria, all African leaders, world leaders that will gather here to celebrate with Nigeria.
The Nigeria Labour Congress has scheduled an emergency meeting of its National Executive Council where it will review progress from its discussions with the federal government and take decisions regarding its planned indefinite strike. The meeting, which is scheduled for midday today, will be held virtually, according to the notice of meeting signed by the General Secretary of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Mr. Emmanuel Ubaja. Meanwhile, the Minister of Labour and Employment, Mr. Simon Lalong, is appealing to the NLC leadership to shelve the planned strike, assuring them that the government is determined to address the concerns raised, especially that of wage award. The minister also notes that one of the NLC's major demands in their last meeting has been met, that which has to do with the release of the leadership of the Nigeria Union of Road Transport Workers. A statement signed by the Director of Public Relations Department of Ministry appealed to the Workers' Union to give the government a little more time to address their demands. Well, we'll get back to that story of the situation at the tribunal, Lagos Governorship Petitions Tribunal, that upheld the election of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and we brought you the story of his reaction to the announcement of the tribunal and the reactions of the PDP and the Labour Party as well. And now we're now being joined on the Lunchtime Politics by a senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Adeleke Agbola. Mr. Adeleke Agbola, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me here today.
So let's begin from that point where the tribunal announced the victory, or reaffirmed the victory of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and then the reactions of the two petitioners, the Labour Party and the People's Democratic Party. What's your reaction to the entire situation?
Well, the system we practice in Nigeria is that you hardly see anybody conceding that he has lost an election, and unfortunately everything must be litigated right to the final court, the Supreme Court. But it's only human, because nobody goes into election with the intention of losing. So Sanwo-Olu, of course, is happy with the decision of the tribunal because he has won, and the other two are unhappy. Gadebo, Roswaibo, and Olajide of the PDP, because the tribunal has ruled against them. So the system they have is within their constitutional rights to review the judgment of the tribunal and to also challenge it if there is any area they feel it is they are not happy with it. And their lawyers, I'm sure, will have been working overnight to pour through the certified true copy of the judgment, which is not yet available anyway. But perhaps by today they will have it, and they can start planning for the next step to be taken, whether to appeal or not to appeal.
So you started out by saying that it's in Nigeria, as it concerns elections, hardly would you find one party saying, okay, the other person has won, and leave it there. Why do you think this is so?
It's quite unfortunate. I read some of the extracts from the speech delivered yesterday at the opening of the legal year for the Court of Appeal by the President of the Court of Appeal. And interestingly, it's only about 5 states. Governorship elections were conducted in 28 states. It's only about 25 states that there was no challenge to the election. So I very litigious people, and when it comes to election especially, the system encourages people to go to court, because the sanction for failing at those election petitions are very low. So people will continue to challenge it. I hope that our election process will get to the level of maturity in advanced democracies where the final decision is left with the voters and not with some judges sitting in some hollow chambers.
You know, there are those who argue that maybe if the burden of proof is shifted to INEC to prove that it conducted credible and fair elections, the situation might change. Do you agree with that?
I don't, because that would be offending our judicial system completely. You don't prove the negative. Somebody has conducted an election. Yes, somebody has conducted an election. He has released a result. That means, in his own opinion, it has done everything. Don't forget, INEC has the power to cancel elections in areas where there have been violence, where there have been allegations of overvoting. So he must have done his own bit. So before he comes out and certifies somebody as having won, that means he's satisfied. So,
but hold on, if I may come in here, that matter of INEC and the power it has, the Electoral Act also says that INEC has the power to review its decisions 7 days after it has done so. But INEC did not do any of that. Even though there were complaints at the announcement, for instance, of the presidential result, there were complaints and some parties even walked out. INEC could have, some say INEC could have stopped at that time to review it after 7 days, or go ahead and announce and then review after 7 days and say, this is what we have found and this is why we continue. But INEC did nothing of that.
You see, the issue really is that INEC is the umpire, is the one that has conducted the election. And for it to have gone ahead and announced the result means that it is satisfied. The person to be satisfied or not satisfied is INEC. And we have seen situations where they cancel results in some polling units and redo the election. Now, when you mention the Presidential Election Tribunal, Presidential Election announcement, I think at that stage it's too late. When you look at the way the process is conducted, it starts from the polling unit. Every party has the opportunity to contest the result declared at the polling unit, and they can refuse to sign the form. And you went from there to the world level, coalition, you didn't protest. From there to the local government level, you didn't protest. State coalition, you didn't protest. I think it's rather too late at the presidential level to start protesting. So the issue really is that we are going to have, we are still suffering from what happened in June 12th, when the result of the election was uttered on June 23rd, if I remember correctly. It is traumatic. We will be giving too much discretion at the hands of INEC if you now are saying that, oh, they must wait for 7 days. It took them about 3 or 4 days before they announced the result of the election for the presidential election. And already at that time, someone already claimed that, oh, something was being done, something was being cooked. So I think they are the ones. We should give them the benefit of doubt to say whether the process has been conducted properly or not. And anybody, of course, who is not satisfied would then have to show that that process has not been complied with. But to say that they should come and prove that they conduct the election properly, I think it would be too much of a burden on them, because it is not, we are running an adversarial judicial process in Nigeria. It's not an inquisitorial.
Okay.
That which simply is the party who says something has not been done properly that must come and show that has not been done properly.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Adeleke Agbola. Is a senior advocate of Nigeria. Thank you for coming on to Lunchtime Politics today.
Thank you.
And in Yola State, the governor has commenced the distribution of food palliatives to Gaydam, one of the border communities with Niger Republic, to cushion the effects of the fuel subsidy removal. The executive secretary of the State Emergency Management Agency, Mohammed Goje, who represented Governor Mai Malabuni at the flag up, explained that 6,400 vulnerable persons will benefit from the distributions.
The distribution of palliatives as subsidy, as part of the subsidy removal strategy to cushion the hardship people are undergoing. This is in line with His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu renewed hope agenda to support communities, vulnerable households with livelihood support, food basket to cushion the effect of subsidy removal. And His Excellency Governor Malabuni has directed that each beneficiary should be given his bag directly hand to hand. We are engaging them today, and we are targeting over 6,400 households to receive their food basket.
And with that, you've been served on Lunchtime Politics. Thank you for watching. I'm Neota Ebe.